Hey friend, and welcome back to the channel. So I recently got a new Mac Mini that is now powering my entire productivity desk setup. So in this video, I'm going to show you all the settings, the tips, and the apps that I installed on my new Mac Mini. So if you bought a new Mac Mini or a MacBook, congratulations, welcome to the club. Or maybe if you're trying to power up your Mac experience even further, this is the right video for you. I haven't set up a new Mac in a long time. I got my MacBook in 2016, and ever since I haven't changed. And so this video will also be useful for future Dan when he gets a new MacBook and he's trying to set it up. All right, let's go into the screen. Let's get started. All right, so the very first thing that I changed on a new Mac is set up the mouse and the trackpad speed. And the reason for this is because it drives me a little bit insane on how slow this mouse is. And because I'm going to use the keyboard and the mouse for everything else that I'm going to do, it helps to set that up first because it makes everything else run a lot smoother. So let's do that now. Just bring up Spotlight, go into System Preferences. If you don't know where Spotlight is, you can do that with Command Space Bar or by just clicking the little magnifying glass on the menu bar. So go into System Preferences. And if you don't know where to find something, all you need to do is type here, for example, mouse, and it highlight where it is. So I'll go the tracking speed, the fastest, scrolling speed, the fastest, double click speed, the fastest, primary mouse button, it's the left, that is correct. So that's all I did. And now it goes with blazing speed. And you see that it also has this zoom on the mouse. We'll fix that in a bit. Then I go into trackpad and I'm gonna do tap to click, tap with one finger. And that means I can do this. And that will open like all the commands that you have on the left side. If you're on a MacBook because you don't have a mouse, it's something that I always love to have. Then I'm gonna do the tracking speed also fast. And then the click, which is how you click on this thing. You can either do firm, medium, or light. I prefer to have it light. And I also could do silent clicking like that. And then I can go into scroll and zoom, more gestures. Now, if this is the first Mac that you have, I highly recommend that you spend a few minutes learning all the commands here. All the hand gestures are immensely helpful when you're navigating on your Mac. So spend the next couple of minutes just trying it out. So for example, closing the 4 fingers to go into the launch pad, or swiping up to see all the desktops that you have. Might be confusing at first, but it's immensely helpful to learn all of these. Another thing that I like to do is enable the 3-finger drag. Now, before this was in trackpad, I believe, but now it's a little bit buried in accessibility. So first, Command F, search accessibility, and you'll see that it's here. And then I'll go all the way down here until point and control. And then I'll go into trackpad options and click enable dragging 3-finger drag. What that means is that now I can hold 3 fingers and just drag the window wherever I want. If this is without drag lock, I click 3 fingers, nothing happens, I can't move it. So that's something that I use a lot. So 3-finger drag. Also scrolling speed fast. Then finally, the last thing is going into the keyboard settings. So I'll go back and you'll see the keyboard is next to the trackpad. Let's close that, keyboard. So here, key repeat, I'll go to fast, delay until repeat, also go to short. And then use F1 keys as standard function keys. That allows me to control, for example, the volume here, whereas before I couldn't. So now all I have to do is click Fn, the key, and then plus, and that will automatically put the volume higher. So then I go into shortcuts, and what you want to click is this use keyboard navigation to move focus between controls. Press the tab key to move focus forward and shift tab to move focus backwards. So let me demonstrate what this does. If I want to go in between controls, you see that I'm using the shift here and it's just moving in between the left thing here, the right one, and then the search bar. But for example, if I want to go to the second one, increase display brightness, I can't do that with the shift. But if I click this, I can now do so, shift, shift, and then you'll see that it's navigating between all the things in the screen. Now, this is one of those things that you only notice when you're missing it. So I always make sure that I tick that box to use keyboard navigation to move focus between controls. Right, so that's mouse, trackpad, and keyboard all set up, all the settings that I want. At this point, what I want to do is check for updates. Even if you buy a new Mac, you might need to update for a new OS. So you click the Apple there, about this Mac, software update. Now we'll check for updates and it will let you know if you have any update is needed. I did, and I already did this before this video, but if not, all you have to do is click there and update. And so if your Mac needs a software update, that might take a couple of minutes. Sit back, relax, drink a cup of coffee, drink a cup of tea, come back to the Mac completely updated with the new latest software. Right, let's now talk about all the settings that I want to change on my new Mac Mini. So first, the number one thing that I do is to turn off document sharing with the iCloud. Now, this is a little bit annoying because it comes by default, but I don't use iCloud at all. I use Google Drive. So let's turn that off. And what we need to do is go into System Preferences. Then you'll see your Apple ID here. And then you'll see at the top, apps on this Mac using iCloud. And if you click iCloud Drive options here, you'll see desktop and document folders. And actually, I don't want to save any of those because what happens is you want to have the files on a computer to live on the cloud. And like I said, I use Google Drive instead. So I'm going to set those all down. And also you start getting these annoying pop-ups by Apple. You've run out of iCloud space, which is a little bit annoying. And then I'll also remove the mail because I don't use that app. The reminders, Safari, and then also stocks, home, and Siri because I don't use those on my Mac. Right, the next thing that I do is go look into Siri. So I don't want to use Siri on my MacBook or my Mac Mini. If you click enable Ask Siri, that will show Siri in your computer and don't want that. Actually now, when I set this up, it asks you by default when you're setting up the computer. So that's really cool. And if this is checked, show Siri in menu bar, you'll see Siri here. Don't want that, so uncheck that as well. Now let's talk a little bit about security settings. The first thing that you want to do is turn on firewall. So you can do that by going again into the system preferences and then security and privacy. And again, you can search, so security, and you'll see that it's this little house vault, I guess. Then you click the lock to make changes. So I'm gonna input my password here, turn on firewall, and that is done. And now that we're here in security and privacy, let's also talk about privacy. The first thing you want to do is go through all the apps that you see here and over time as well, and enable or disable location services. So for example, OBS, which is the only app that I've installed so far because I need to record the screen, is allowed access to my microphone. That's fine. But you'll see here all the other apps as you build them along that they're getting access to your location and other things. So come back once you've installed a couple of apps to your privacy and check that you're not sharing things that you don't need to. One thing that I like to do is go into analytics and improvement and not share any analytics with Apple. Now I'm pretty sure they have a lot of data. They can figure it out how to make their products a lot better without needing my data. And I'm sure they're collecting other data from me. So you're gonna share Mac analytics, just take that off. And also Apple advertising, I will uncheck personalized ads. So they will still show ads, but not personalized tailored to me. I kind of want that in place. So that's the first sweep that I'll do in security and privacy. And then, like I said, I'll come back once I have a couple of apps to see if I'm not sharing things that I really don't need to share. Finally, the last thing I'll do is go into hot corners. So to do that, we go into system preferences. You can search here, like I said before, go into desktop and screensaver. And then you want to click here where it says hot corners. And this will allow you to do things on the corners of the screen. So for example, on the left here, let's say that I want to open the Launchpad. On the left down, I like to go to the desktop. So if I'm here, or if I have a lot of documents here happening, I can go here and I'll be on the desktop. On the top right, I like to use mission control. So do that and do the multiple displays if I want. And then on the bottom right here, I like to use put display to sleep. So not powering down the computer, just putting the display to sleep. You can actually put it to sleep with Alfred. Later on in this video, I'm gonna talk all about Alfred. And click OK, and that's it. Right, let's now talk about the dock situation here, and this is a biggie, because by default, it shows you a big dock. I like small minimal because it's taking all these real estate on my screen, and my screen is quite big at this point, but imagine wasting all this space in such a small MacBook. Why would you do this? So the first thing that I'll do is remove all the apps that I don't want. All you have to do is left click, options, and then remove from dock. Or what you can do instead is just hold on to the item, click mail, and then you'll see this little thing called remove, and then it's gone. So let's do that for all the apps. Right, so I left the calendar, the notes, and the system preferences for now. Now what I like to do is resize this, and you can do so in here. All you need to do, drag it up and down. So I'm just gonna do it real small. And then you do left click here, and you go into dock preferences. And here you can see dock and menu bar preferences. So first what I like to do, the size you can also resize here if you want. So I'm just gonna leave it what it is. You can do magnification if you want to do it up. I don't use this a lot, so I'm gonna check that off. And then because screens today are horizontal in a way that you see things, I like to position the dock bar on the left side of the screen so that I'm not wasting all these real estate space. And again, my monitor is quite big, but imagine this on a 13-inch. So position left, then you'll see that it appears here on the left. Then what I like to do is automatically hide and show the dock, and that will mean that when I check this, it will hide the dock here on the left. And if I want to show it, I can just go on the left there and it will show. Another big one is minimize windows into application icon. And what this means is that if I open a new tab, for example, let's open Safari here, and I say hello world, and I close, it's gonna minimize it directly into Safari. Now the problem is, if I close Safari, it will still show it here on the side because it's a recent application and it's trying to learn from what I need the most. But I don't need that prompt, so I can click show recent applications in dock. Let me just click automatically show, and then if I click it, you'll see that those have disappeared. So that's what I do when docks are concerned. Let's now talk about the menu bar. And the first thing that I like to do is automatically hide and show the menu bar for the very same reason of the dock being on the left. It's just taking a little bit of real estate. Don't want it that because it's horizontal. So if I click it, it will disappear. And if I hover over it, it will show again. Now for the sake of this, let's just keep it open. And you'll see that it's spotlight here, but I use keyboard. Actually, I use Alfred, something I'm going to talk about later in this video. So I don't need to see that in the menu bar. So I can go into spotlight, show in menu bar, untick that. It will remove. I'll also remove the now playing show in menu bar when active. If I'm watching a video, it'll show like now playing this video. And sound when active, I'm going to put as always, because I want to see at all times that icon about the sound. Also, I don't need display, so I'm going to disable that. And I want to be able to see Bluetooth. So I'm going to click show on menu bar, and this allows me to see everything that's connected. So for example, the keyboard, the trackpad, the mouse, and also the headphones that I have, the AirPods and the Bose headphones. And then finally, Wi-Fi, also selected. So go back, automatically hide and show the menu bar. And now it's just a very nice screen, nothing on it. Beautiful, very minimalistic setup of the Mac. So the last thing that you want to do is also show the battery on the menu bar. Now, obviously this is a Mac Mini, so it doesn't have battery, but on a MacBook, you're going to have battery, and you want to do show in menu bar and also show the percentage so that it shows, like this one here, it has 100%, so that it shows how much battery you have left in your MacBook. Right, let's talk about the desktop and the Finder. So when you first open Finder, it's a little bit weird, and I customized this over the years in my MacBook, so I'm going to do the same setup in the Finder here. So the first thing that you want to do is click into view, and then you want to show path bar, and that underneath here will show you the path of the folder that you are. And that is immensely helpful because then I can click on it and navigate to, for example, here, my Macintosh HD, or if I go, for example, into desktop and I want to navigate to my main folder. Now, the second thing that you want to go is go into view, then show status bar. This will tell you the amount of items within a folder and also the amount of storage that it's taking. So if you have, for example, here on the downloads folder, you see that it's only OBS, one item, and you have this much available. Then let's talk about the Finder settings. So all you have to do is go click Finder and then Preferences. It's put here on the side. So show these items on desktops. I don't want to show anything on desktop because again, I like that clean, minimal look. And the new Finder window is going to show the recents. So for example, if I open a new Finder window here, it's going to show the recents, which is not really helpful to me. What I spend most of the time retrieving files is from downloads. So I can actually choose other, and then I go into downloads, and then I'm going to choose that. So now if I open a new Finder, it's going to go into downloads. Pretty useful, right? Then I go into tags and I select, I don't really use tags, so I don't need them. Sidebar, you'll see that the items here you can customize. And so I have my MacBook here. So I have desktop is the first one. Now I do have applications. I don't have recents. I have desktop, documents, downloads. I don't have movies, music, pictures. I probably want my home folder here. I don't need iCloud Drive again, I don't use it. And then locations, I'm just gonna choose this computer. And text, again, I don't use it. Now let's go into the advanced settings. I'll just choose remove items from bin after 30 days, even though I clean my bin every week. And then when performing a search, this is the last one, you wanna search within this Mac or search within a folder. I wanna use search within the current folder. And what that means is if I'm searching something, so Command F there, and I'm searching for example, OBS, it's searching the entire Mac, but I just want to search within downloads because I know it's in this folder. So what happens the most is I'll search within a folder for something, and the exception to that rule is search within the Mac. So it makes sense that search the current folder will be my default. So now if I go back and I try to search again and I search OBS, it's now only finding within downloads, and that's what I want. And then I'll also spend some time rearranging the icons on the favorites here on the left. So we have desktop, then I have applications, then I have downloads, documents, I have AirDrop and Creative Cloud, which I don't have here. So actually I might have forgotten AirDrop. Right, so AirDrop there. So downloads, documents, AirDrop, Daniel. And I also have a folder here for YouTube, but because I don't have that folder yet, I can do it. But all you need to do is drag that into the side. So for example, archive here, I'll drag it here. And if you wanna remove, you can just say, remove from sidebar, and that will remove that folder. A pretty neat thing is also hitting Command and dragging. It will also take the file to the top, and that's easy navigation. So for example, if I'm on downloads, I click there, it goes into the top of the archive, and then remove it, click Command, and it disappears. Now let's talk about the views in your Finder. By default, it's showing you as a list. I like to show as columns, but so to assume this as default, go into View, Customize, and then always open in column view, browse in column view. Close that and it will always open like this. Now another thing is by default, it doesn't have the scroll bars. Only when you start scrolling, it will start showing. And that's a little bit annoying. So I'm gonna do default always show scrolling. So to do that, you go to System Preferences and then General, which is here, and then show scroll bars always. And then you always see the scroll bars here. Let me show you. So for example, if I go to the applications, I can show you automatically based on mouse and trackpad. If I go down, it will show that. When scrolling, it will start showing when I scroll, and always, it will always show that scrolling. So I kind of like that. Now let's talk about the Launchpad. So 4 fingers to the center and you'll see all these apps. Now, I don't use Launchpad that much because I use Alfred. Again, I'm going to talk about this in a minute, but it's a little bit confusing if I need to go there. So what I like to do is just move everything into the folder. It's going to give it a name, in this case, productivity. I don't care, but basically it's a miscellaneous folder, right? So all you need to do is just drag all these apps into there. Don't use Google Maps. Quickly do that to all the apps. Right, now your Launchpad looks a lot nicer. Final last setting that I change on a new MacBook is to disable the floating thumbnail when I'm taking a new screenshot. So if I do Shift-Command-3, I take a screenshot, you'll see that here on the right, it shows for a few minutes before going into the desktop, a floating thumbnail of that screenshot. And now it's sent it over here. Now, if you take a lot of screenshots, as I do, this is a little bit annoying. You don't want that floating thumbnail. You just want the screenshot to appear automatically. So what you can do instead is Shift-Command-5. It will go into this window to select things. And then you can go into Options and remove the tick on Show Floating Thumbnail. So click that, cancel, and now Shift-Command-3 again. And the screenshot automatically appears. No floating thumbnail to annoy the life out of you. Right, finally, let's talk apps. Now, everyone has their own set of apps that they use for the type of work. I'm not gonna go into detail in a lot of these apps because they are specific to my work and they're gonna be different maybe for your work. But I will talk about the apps that I would install on any new MacBook or Mac Mini or anything that I'm setting. The first one, the absolute #1 app that I would install is Alfred. Now, I've talked about Alfred before in this channel. Alfred is like Spotlight on steroids. It does a lot more. It has a paid version for about £49, I believe. Best investment that you're gonna make. So let's install that right now. Right, what I like to do as well is set up Alfred that it works on the same command that it works with Spotlight, which is Command Space. So to do that, you need to first change your Spotlight preferences. Right, so let's open Spotlight here, and then click Keyboard Shortcuts. And then when you see Show Spotlight, search Command Space and tick that. So when you go into here, you can select Command Space. And now Command Space opens Alfred. Launch Alfred at login, yes. And then I'll also go into Features here, and then choose Folders, Documents, Text Files, Archives, and Images. Then I like to go into Clipboard History, keep plain text for a month. And that allows you to something that you type today, 30 days from now, still retrieve it using Alfred, and that's absolutely amazing. And then you can customize the appearance. I like the large Avenir. It's a little bit easier on the eyes with that font, so a lot better. Then I'll also go into Calculator and Input and say use decimal point as decimal separator. So before, if I do 1.5 plus 1, it won't do 2.5, but if I use decimal point, I can do that and it will give me 2.5. And then obviously you can search Alfred, for example, new coffee beans, and you can search within Amazon or Wikipedia or something, like all the things that Alfred normally does. Much better than Spotlight, in my opinion, the #1 app that I always install. The second thing that I always install, obviously, is Google Chrome. So now let's go here into Safari, be a little bit of a trader, and install Google Chrome. And because this is running on the new M1 Silicon Apple chip, it's gonna ask me if you want the Intel chip or the Apple chip. So I'm gonna choose the Apple one. Hello, thanks for downloading. So now it's here on my downloads, Google Chrome. Now I do realize that Google Chrome is a little bit slow and a little bit of a hog in the computer, but there are a couple of things that it just does a lot better than Safari. For example, browsing YouTube is one of them. And also because I use the extensions a lot, it really helps to have Google Chrome. I'm just used to it. Don't judge me, please. So I'm gonna set as a default browser, and again, remove the sharing things. So use Chrome. And now you're able to log in. And at this point, I log in also as well to LastPass, because that's gonna make signing up on everything else a lot easier, and all the extensions and all the websites as well. Then I'm gonna install a Windows resizer, because if you open something here, let's open Safari and Chrome, moving things around is a little bit weird here, and I wanna be able to do this with my keyboard. So the app that I like is called Spectacle. You can show here, and it gives you all these commands to move and resize windows with ease. And it's a little bit sad that Apple doesn't do this very well. Windows does this very well. Maybe that's why it's called Windows. And so when you install Spectacle, you need to give it accessibility features. So let's do that right now. So then we can open Spectacle here and it will give you all these commands that you can use. So for example, Option Command C is going to center that screen, and you'll see here on the menu bar, you'll see it, so the upper left, and you'll do all of this. What I use the most is this one. So go to the left and then choose in thirds. So I'll do one on the left here and then writing something on the right. But because this is a big monitor, sometimes I like to have three, and I'll open like a new Chrome bar or Safari bar or something like that. And I'll put it center here, and I'll put this one on the right, and then on a third. So now I have three screens that I can use at all times. A little bit of a flex there, but you get to point that you can use Spectacle and you have all these commands, thirds, lower left, upper left, all these things. When I had just the MacBook and no external display, I would use thirds a lot, upper left, lower left, up the right, because I could open like 4 things at the same time. So Spectacle is free, very cool. Just make sure you click here, launch Spectacle at login, to make sure that whenever you power up your Mac Mini or a MacBook, Spectacle is already running for you when you start. Finally, the last app is Displaperture. Displaperture is a very, I would say, useless app, but very pleasing experience. What it does is allows you to have round corners on your screen, and I realize this is a very first world thing to talk about, but I kind of like it. So you can open it here and you'll see that the corners here, so radius is, this is the normal one, and then you can do all the way to 540 PTS. I kind of like to set it at 12. Default is 10, kind of like it a little bit more, and you'll see that the corners are a little bit round, and that's all it does. So yeah, I realize this is very much a first world app, I guess, but it's just a nice, pleasing experience to have a little bit of round corners on your monitor, either in a MacBook or if you're using an external monitor with a MacBook or a Mac Mini like I am. So that's it. That's all the settings, the tips, the tricks, the apps that I install on my new Mac Mini. If you follow this along, you'll be changing the settings and all the apps in your MacBook. That's an awesome thing. What I recommend that you do at this time, and I wish I did this 5 years ago, is that you create a checklist as you're doing these things, so that the next time that you're doing a setup of a new Mac, you already have everything in sort of a checklist. So if I open my notes here, you'll see I have a new Mac setup checklist, and I have all the things that I talked about in this video here. And then if or when I buy a new MacBook or a new computer from Apple, really, I just go mouse and trackpad, speed up the mouse, and I can just do that. And then I can just go through this, what is called a do checklist, to do all the settings very quickly. And in the probably 30 minutes, I can get all of this done. And then you can have that in your phone and just follow along as you're setting up your new Mac. So let me know in the comments if I missed anything. Are there settings that you use that I should be using, or apps that you really recommend that I install on my new Mac Mini, or other things? Just drop a comment, feel free to start a conversation. And if you really like this video, please consider subscribing. It's completely free and you can change your mind at any point in the future. And then if you want to know more about my setup on the Mac, I have 2 videos for you. The first one is about all the apps that I use in my MacBook. So in this video, I cover the essential apps I install on any new Mac, but these are all the apps that I use in my MacBook. And then here on this side, you can see how to work faster in your MacBook, how to move at the speed of light. So thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.